The rumble of motorcycles broke the stillness of a cold, grey morning along Route 46. A convoy of chrome and leather rolled down the road, engines roaring like thunder before slowly fading into a deep hum as they approached a lonely roadside diner. The air smelled of rain and dust, and the sound of heavy boots echoed against the cracked asphalt as the bikers dismounted. They were known as the Iron Brotherhood, a name that sent mixed feelings through small-town folks. Some said they were trouble. Others whispered they had hearts bigger than their engines. But none of them could have guessed that on that morning, something extraordinary was about to happen, something that would test their humanity, their hearts, and the meaning of brotherhood itself. And just as the engines went quiet, a small voice trembled through the air like a fragile whisper carried by the wind. "Please, sir, take him. We haven't eaten in 3 days." The voice belonged to a little girl, no older than 7 or 8, her face streaked with dirt and tears, her small hands clutching a tiny golden puppy that trembled as much as she did. Her pink hoodie was faded, her jeans torn at the knees, and her shoes looked 2 sizes too big. The puppy whimpered softly, as if understanding the pain behind her words. Behind the girl, the towering figure of a man froze mid-step. His name was Grayson, leader of the Iron Brotherhood. His beard was grey and thick, his arms covered in tattoos that told 1,000 untold stories. The girl's voice cut through him like a knife through steel. The noise of motorcycles and chatter vanished. Every biker turned their head toward the fragile child, holding out her last piece of love and hope. Before we dive deeper into this powerful story, take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to Soul Spark. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of compassion, your support helps us keep these stories alive. Grayson walked closer, his heavy boots crunching against gravel. His rough face softened as he knelt before the girl. He noticed how tightly she was holding the puppy, afraid to let go. "Where's your mom, kid?" he asked quietly, though his voice still carried that deep, commanding tone. The girl pointed toward an old rusted car parked at the edge of the diner's lot. Through the window, a woman sat slumped over the steering wheel, her face pale, her eyes closed. Grayson could tell right away. This woman wasn't just tired. She was weak, hungry, maybe even sick. The little girl sniffed and said softly, "Mom's not feeling good. We sleep in the car now. I thought, maybe if you took Buddy you could feed him." The words broke something inside Grayson that had been sealed shut for decades. He had seen hunger, he had seen pain, but never in eyes so young, never with innocence this raw. Behind him, his brothers shifted uncomfortably. These were men who could stare down danger, but right now, none of them could look away from that child without their throats tightening. Grayson reached out slowly, resting his rough, tattooed hand on the dog's head. The puppy wagged its tail weakly, leaning into his touch. The girl's eyes filled again. "His name's Buddy," she whispered. "He's all I have left from before." "Before what?" Grayson asked gently. "Before Dad left, before we had to move out." The words came out in pieces, choked with emotion. Grayson didn't need to hear more. He'd lived long enough to recognize the silence that follows heartbreak. He stood up, took a deep breath, and looked at his crew. Without saying a word, they understood. He turned back to the girl and said softly, "Keep your puppy. Let's get you and your mom something to eat." Inside the diner, the mood changed. The regulars who'd watched the bikers arrive with wary eyes now whispered among themselves. The Iron Brotherhood filled the booths, their black leather vests and tattoos clashing with the pastel decor of the place. But Grayson wasn't there to scare anyone. He called the waitress over, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes who'd seen her share of travelers. "Darling," he said, "bring us your biggest breakfast platter. Eggs, pancakes, bacon, the works, and pack up some meals to go." She raised an eyebrow. "To go?" Grayson nodded toward the window, where the girl still sat holding her puppy. "For them." 10 minutes later, he carried a tray outside. The smell of warm food filled the air. The little girl's eyes widened. disbelief spreading across her face. "For us?" she asked quietly. "Yes, sweetheart," Grayson replied. "Eat up, and don't you dare try to give me that puppy again." A tiny smile broke across her face, the first one he'd seen. It was the kind of smile that could melt the coldest heart. She placed the puppy down beside her and began eating slowly, as if afraid it might disappear. Her mother stirred in the car, startled, but when she saw the food, her eyes welled up. Grayson helped her out and guided her to a bench. She was frail, but when she spoke, her voice carried years of strength and struggle. She explained how her husband lost his job, how the bills piled up, how they sold almost everything they owned to keep the car running. When the money ran out, the husband disappeared, leaving her and her daughter to survive on scraps. They'd been living on the road, sleeping in parking lots, hoping for mercy that never came. That night, the Iron Brotherhood didn't ride off into the sunset like usual. They stayed. They built a small fire behind the diner, roasting marshmallows with the girl and her puppy. The girl laughed, a pure sound that none of them had expected to hear. The men, usually hardened by life and loss, found themselves smiling too. For the first time in a long while, the world felt right. Grayson looked at his crew sitting around the fire, big men with rough hands and weathered souls, and realized something. Kindness didn't weaken them, it made them stronger. The next morning, while the sun painted the desert sky in orange and gold, Grayson made a few calls. His brother-in-law, who owned a repair shop in the next town, agreed to fix the woman's car for free. Another member of the Brotherhood, Rex, who ran a small trucking company, offered her a part-time job answering phones. The rest of the crew chipped in whatever cash they had left, enough to get her and the girl a few nights in a motel until things settled. When the mother tried to refuse, Grayson simply said, "Don't thank us. We've all been down before. Someone helped us. Now it's our turn." The little girl threw her arms around him, her tiny frame barely reaching his chest. "You're like superheroes," she whispered. Grayson chuckled, patting her back. "Nah, kid, just men who remember what it's like to have nothing." The following weeks passed quietly. Grayson went back to his life on the road, riding through sunburnt highways and small towns, but that morning stayed with him. Every time he saw a pink hoodie or heard a puppy bark, he thought of her. Then, one Saturday morning, as the Brotherhood gathered at their clubhouse to tune bikes and plan their next ride, the sound of a small car pulling up caught their attention. The engine sputtered before stopping. When the door opened, a familiar voice called out, "Mr. Grayson!" It was her, the little girl from the diner, her hair now clean and braided neatly. She was smiling, holding a small paper bag. Behind her stood her mother, healthier and brighter, with Buddy wagging his tail beside them. The girl ran straight to Grayson. "We made cookies for you," she said proudly. "Mom got the job, and our car works again. We even have a small apartment now." Grayson swallowed hard, blinking back the sting in his eyes. He took the bag gently. "You did good, sweetheart. You and your mom." She grinned. "Buddy missed you." Grayson laughed, crouching down to pet the dog. Buddy barked happily, tail thumping against the dirt. Around them, the bikers watched in silence, pretending to wipe the grease off their hands, pretending not to feel what they all felt deep down. That night, as the sun set behind the hills, the Iron Brotherhood lit another fire outside their clubhouse. The flames danced against the chrome of their bikes as Grayson stared into the glow, thinking about how a single act of kindness had created ripples that would last forever. He thought about how the world judged men like them, tattooed, loud, intimidating, and how one small girl had seen something they didn't even know they had left, a heart capable of deep compassion. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your support helps us bring more real stories of humanity and hope to the world. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. What does kindness mean to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because your words might just inspire someone else to do good today. A month later, the owner of the diner hung a framed photograph near the counter. It showed the little girl, her mother, Buddy, and 5 bikers standing proudly beside their motorcycles. Beneath it was a handwritten note that read, "Never judge kindness by the leather it wears." Grayson would stop by sometimes, ordering black coffee and sitting under that photo. Every time he looked at it, he felt something stir inside, a reminder that even the toughest hearts can carry the softest souls. That day, on Route 46, when a hungry child offered him her only friend, he realized that kindness isn't about who you are or how you look. It's about showing up when someone needs it most. And in that small-town diner, kindness became louder than the roar of any motorcycle ever could.